Hi, I'm Losfeld RL. I teach Directional Air-Roll or DAR, and I've made a video on it that got a bit of visibility. For some reason, I'm fascinated by this technique, and no, it's not just a mechanic, it's also a flying technique. It's as much as the ollie isn't just a trick in skateboard, it's also the technique that allows you to get the board in the air while only using your feet. First misconception debunked. DAR is a flying technique, boom, roasted. In today's video, I'm going to tell you why we use DAR. In order to do that, I'm also going to debunk misconceptions that people have been spreading for years as to why they think we air roll. All of those misconceptions are false, and they all stem from a lack of understanding of the mechanic/technique of DAR. Let's go. First misconception. We use DAR because it's flashy. Now, if you just think for more than 5 seconds, you can easily understand why this is false. Yes, Directional Air-Roll or DAR is flashy, but no, this isn't why we use it. Look at it this way. If pro players use DAR when they make aerials, especially in their 2v2 games, it's not to be flashy. Pro players don't need to be flashy. They need to be efficient. Indeed, nobody is as efficient as a pro player. That is why they are professional players. So if pro players use DAR, then it means that the use of DAR cannot, by definition, only be because it's flashy. People who think that either know little about DAR, probably can't use it or don't master it, or simply don't know how to use deduction and reasoning. Boom. Roasted. Second misconception. We use DAR because it's harder to read for the opponent. Well, this might have been the case in the beginning of people using DAR, but as time goes by, we get used to everything, right? Even simple mechanics like the reset was impressive at first, because we're always astonished by what is new, but now people do reset whenever they want just to make a little pass, and we all see it coming and we all anticipate it, so obviously we did the same for Directional Air-Roll. And if Directional Air-Roll still exists nowadays and we use it more than ever, even though we can all read the trajectory of someone using DAR, it clearly means that the argument of we use it because it's harder to read for the opponent is not the main reason we use it. Boom, roasted. Third misconception. Using DAR is faster. No, it's not. A simple experiment can prove it to you. And again, this is a misconception that's been spread for years, and for some reason, nobody has ever tried to prove it. But I'm going to do that now. This is me going up the roof without Directional Air-Roll. This is me going up the roof with Directional Air-Roll. This is me going left without Directional Air-Roll. This is me going left with Directional Air-Roll. Now, unless you're in full denial mode, you can clearly see that not using Directional Air-Roll is the same or even a bit faster than using it. Alright? So, boom, get roasted. Fourth misconception. We use DAR because it allows us to make micro adjustments from all axes on the car while making an aerial. Well, you can also do that with free air-roll or no air-roll. So that's wrong. Get boom, get roasted. Fifth misconception. We use DAR only at a high enough elo. That's what people say, right? People say that one shouldn't learn DAR if one isn't high enough elo. What they mean is one should not need to know how to use DAR in order to win games at this current elo. That's not wrong, but by no means does that mean that you shouldn't learn it. As I often say, given the fact that DAR is the longest mechanic/technique to learn and master, it should be learned the earliest. If you manage to score while using a mechanic, who are people to say that this mechanic is useless to be learned at the given elo? If the mechanic makes you score a goal and win the game, nobody can refute its utility. Well then, why do we use it? It's simple. And as always, it's a simpler reason than what people think. We use Directional Air-Roll because it's comfortable. Yes, comfortable. It gives us comfort. And because it gives us comfort, it allows us to do more complicated mechanics with more ease. That's why you shouldn't listen to those moronic content creators who tell you you shouldn't use DAR all the way during an aerial. Yes, Yes, you should. You should absolutely do that. You can stop air rolling while you touch the ball in order to have a precise touch on the right part of your car's hitbox. But while you're flying, you want to continuously press directional air roll. So now the question is, why or how is it that DAR gives us comfort? Well, there are two answers to that. One is very general and touches Rocket League in its globality, as well as any activity that requires hand-eye coordination. And the other one is very specific to Rocket League and to DAR in particular. The first reason is that when you use directional air roll, you don't make conscious choices. Instead, you solely rely on your muscle memory. And muscle memory is the one thing that defines how good car control you have. Bad muscle memory means bad control. Good muscle memory means good control. As simple as that. In any sport, game, any musical instrument, in any activity that requires skill, there is generally muscle memory involved. How do you think that chef cooks can cut a cucumber in 3 seconds, but it take you 27 seconds and a bloody finger? Muscle memory. Same thing with Rocket League with directional air roll. So when we have muscle memory created and trained for DAR, we feel comfortable with it. The second reason is very specific to Rocket League and to the mechanic and technique of directional air roll. Even though some stupid content creators, I'm looking at you, G, say that you should learn every joystick input for every different angle of your car's revolution, well, the majority of people have been saying to do the inputs when the hood is facing you, which I call in my DAR thesis the neutral revolution. The question now is, why do we press our joystick mostly on the neutral revolution, and why is the neutral revolution a necessity? The answer, again, only requires to have a bit of humanity and remember that we are living beings. Because as humans, when we're faced with difficulties, we look for patterns in order to get support. A pattern is a constant, as I've said in my thesis. What does that mean for directional air roll? It means that every time we see the neutral revolution, we're going to make adjustments on our car relative to this constant of neutral revolution, which I also call the tempo. So our muscle memory is bound to the rhythm at which we do the inputs, and this rhythm is relative to the tempo, the constant, the support, the pattern of the neutral revolution. So when we use the neutral revolution as the foundation of our usage of DAR, we feel support, which means comfort. To that, you only need to add anticipation and optimization, and with training, you get better and better while doing everything with the comfort that DAR brings. As always, people want to overcomplicate things. They base their opinions not on objective facts, but on biased, subjective interpretation of their current understanding of the subject they're trying to explain. And people, for some fucking reason, blindly follow those misinterpretations and make them general truths because they have no critical thinking. Hence, all these shitty tutorials. Big up to Spookluke, Curvebert, and Grifficious. But more on that very soon. So, as always, if we had tried to understand how directional air roll works and how we all have instinctively learnt it, which is by using the neutral revolution, the hood facing you, we would have all deduced that the only reason we use DAR is very straightforward, very natural, very human, and very simple. Comfort. What do you think freestyling use directional air roll? To be flashy? Fuck no. Because it makes it so easy once you master it to control your car in the air, which also implies doing much more complicated mechanics with much more ease. You'll even notice that when you don't use directional air roll, if you fly and go left and right, you will feel some kind of input lag. The car will do this weird thing where even though you're changing direction on the joystick, it still has momentum from the previous movement it made. And that is really uncomfortable. In the end, directional air roll gives us so much more comfort that we have learned to be highly mechanical thanks to it, because it makes the statistic of car control much higher than what it was before we used it. Even if people don't realize it, directional air roll is the one thing that makes Rocket League the mechanical game that it is today. So be grateful for it, respect it, cherish it, because once you go DAR, you can go far. This is the end of the video on why do we use directional air-roll. I hope I could enlighten you a bit. As always, don't hesitate to ask your DAR related questions during a stream. I'd be glad to try to answer. Take care of yourself and have a good day. Losfeld out. Goodbye in 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.